Knee howdy. What's up, y'all? Year of the Fire Horse is soon to arrive, marking the start of the Lunar New Year, also known as the Chinese New Year. This Lunar New Year will also coincide with the Aquarius solar eclipse. 2026 is sure to be a year of powerful momentum, moving forward in the coming changes of our lives. I am offering a discount service for the month of February. Use coupon code FIREHORSE at sleepingshaman.com. Happy Chinese New Year, y'all. Ni howdy. Chord?
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And you know how we do it. So go ahead and, fill me in on whatever, or if you want me to just start looking and talking, we can do that too.
the move has been fantastic. Totally notice a complete different energy. I'm also out of a toxic environment too, so I have a little more control of, um, just protecting my body, putting up more organite, putting things on the smart meter, not getting, I was living with my aunt, so her house, her rules. Um, So yeah, crazy ass fucking year. Complete like 180. Lots of things closed. Lots of new doors open, new energy. And I'm totally feeling, I felt the Neptune going from Pisces into Aries and really opened up my throat chakra.
Mm,
So, um, things
mm-hmm,
I have been doing is I now am more in tuned with the astrology and paying attention. So I'm tracking how I'm doing on a daily basis. More paying attention to like what the sun and the moon is doing.
mm-hmm,
And really organize my life on, if the sun's transiting the first house like it is now, I know that that's my time. I can notice that I'm more focused on me right now. And
mm-hmm,
so it's allowed me to not worry about the other stuff
mm-hmm,
because I'll eventually get there.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm. Wow, I'm really happy to hear how good everything's been going for you in that move. And you do, I mean, just look at this. Look at all this Aquarian energy right here.
you know,
Yes, and all these planets, these have been in Aquarius for quite a while. Beginning with Venus and then the Sun and Mercury and Mars catching up and Pluto's going to be here for a long time. But this whole Aquarius stellium has been working with your first house and your identity, your sense of self, your vitality, your body, for a number of weeks, and it's going to continue. We still have 15 more days of the sun being in Aquarius, and Mars is only at 9 degrees, so we still have Mars trailing behind in Aquarius for quite some time. So even when even when all these planets, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, move into Pisces, we're still going to have Mars trailing behind. And of course, Pluto's going to be here for an extended, for years, for decades actually. And so this is quite like I don't want to use the word electrifying, but it's like there's a charge, there's a
there's
charge.
an activation
There
definitely happening.
definitely an activation and a charge going on here of the way, like what comes to mind is like a crown opening, like your mind opening to just this more expansive level. And it's not that you're really learning anything new, it's that you're able to process everything um in a more elaborate way, I think.
Yes.
It's yeah, it's like
I had that realization this morning because um I it was I can't say that I feel like I'm going through another dark night of the soul or awakening because I've gone into the deepest realms of the shit show we're in.
right. Yeah.
But I realized that there were moments that I'm experiencing where it's that subconscious,
Hmm.
where you're starting to question the reality. And if I hadn't gone through that before, I would be questioning the reality. But now I have the tools in the toolbox to understand that it's just expanding at a deeper and bigger level for me to embody. And I may not understand or know what that means at this moment,
Hmm.
but my shadows that have been standing in the way from stepping into what I'm here to do, that is being lifted.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I can see that. And that, with Pluto being here at 3 degrees, so this Pluto it's within a conjunction to your rising sign, but it's still in your 12th house.
Mhm.
So, and this Pluto is going to be here in your 12th house all year. The furthest Pluto is going to get in Aquarius this year is 5 degrees. So, and then retrograde and start retrograding. So you got a whole year of because keep in mind Pluto has been transiting through this entire landscape of your 12th house for almost 20 years. Okay, so for a long time, Pluto officially entered your 12th house probably around 2010, probably around 2010. Okay,
That was right
so
when I had my son. Wow.
wow, 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 wow. So that because Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. And
Mhm.
so it took a while for it to actually enter your 12th house. So it's been this long journey from approximately 2010 for Pluto to come all the way here. And right at the end, the expression of Pluto in your 12th house changes from Capricorn to Aquarius. And so this Pluto in Aquarius is going to stay in your 12th house, just right on the threshold, and remain within a conjunction to your rising sign for an entire year, which means you're on this you're going through this uh, chrysalis stage is the best way I can say it, like a butterfly, not a butterfly in the cocoon, right? It's like you're going through a process of transforming, and there's a morphogenesis that's happening. And it's not going to be until next year when Pluto officially crosses this threshold of entering your first house, where that morphogenesis has come to a completion, and now you've gone through caterpillar stage, through transforming into embodying and actually being that butterfly, and out, doing what butterflies do. So with Pluto remaining here in the 12th house in Aquarius, it's influencing two parts here. So we have your Venus in Aquarius right here at 3 degrees in your 12th house. And Pluto is exactly conjunct your Venus. And then we also have Pluto within a 3 degree conjunction to your rising sign, and it's going to get close to 5 degrees, this Pluto. And then if we go back just a few days ago, if we go back just 1 week, I'm gonna go back just 1 week, boom, this Mars-Pluto conjunction happened at 3 degrees on your rising sign. And then if we go back even more,
Felt it.
I mean, not on your rising sign, but I mean on your Venus, because your Venus is still
Right.
at 3 degrees. And then if we go back another week, um, where am I? I lost myself. There's Pluto. So if we go back another week, Venus made a conjunction to that Pluto at 3 degrees. So you had a Venus return, Um, boom, boom. So you had a Venus return where Venus and Pluto made a conjunction at 3 degrees, which is exactly on your natal Venus at 3 degrees. And then every week following after that, every one of these planets that had to cross over Pluto, they did it at this 3 degree point, which was also making a conjunction to your natal Venus right here. So
Hmm.
um, that's a lot of activity going on with this Venus in your 12th house. And just so we have it out there, I want to read to you Venus here in your 12th house in Aquarius, because this is going to be a major theme for you this year is this Venus in Aquarius is the final this Venus in Aquarius is like the final thing that has to do with Pluto being in your 12th house since 2010. You get what I'm saying? It's like this epic saga of Pluto moving through your 12th house, and then right on the final year of it needing to cross into your first house, it's spending an entire year working and transforming your Venus. So it's like the final integration of this. So I'm gonna read to you Venus in Aquarius gives a calm and detached nature. You are idealistic, even revolutionary in your outlook, and want to see a better society emerge from the vagaries of the present day. You are an admirer of symmetry and elegance with an enthusiastic appreciation of artistic form in music, poetry, and painting. You function well in friendships and in groups, but you may not always be happy in intimate connections with significant others. Your love is broader and more general, and you may be given to spiritual or philanthropic activities rather than to close personal relationships. You may go through many changes in your love life, being very open to new influences that suddenly come up for you. You benefit from deepening and more fully expressing your affection for one person in particular. Now, this is about Venus being in your 12th.
Hmm.
Venus in the 12th house represents a deeply felt connection within you between artistic impulses, your values, and the spiritual or unworldly. You are naturally tuned to higher planes of reality and do not connect well with the mundane, everyday world all around you. You may find your happiness in situations that encircle you that encircle you in away from the maddening crowd. You are likely to be poetical and musical and also extremely sensitive to the energy of others, even psychic. You are always ready to take sides with the underdog and may be the only one to see the magic in a person nobody else is willing to understand. You are socially adept and easygoing, perhaps too easygoing at times. You may expect to sacrifice yourself for any love interest that you have. Your relationships will likely be of a mystical and ethereal nature, bringing you closer not only to your love of object, but also through them to the divine within. If you feel called to express yourself artistically, it will be in terms of the hidden imaginal world of your own inner process. Okay, so that's what you're born with. You're born with that Venus, um, that Venus in oh, what did I do? Oh, I stopped the screen share. You're born with that Venus in Aquarius in the 12th house, and let's let's continue on dissecting this. So there's a few things that I'm gonna read just so that they're out in this space here that we're talking. Um, because this Venus is really big here. And again, what I read didn't describe, as I'm sure you already know, Venus is a planet that has to do with relationships, our
Hmm.
interpersonal relationships. And it's not necessarily, love interest or romantic. It's like the relationship we have with ourselves, the relationship we have with our money, the relationship we have with our body and our food, the relationship we have with the universe, the relationship we have with the cashier when we check out at the grocery
Right.
store. It's how it's how Venus is how we take ourself, our individuality, and relate it to the world outside of us, and how we form those bridges in connecting. But Venus, on a deeper sense, is money, self-esteem, and our value systems. Okay, so and then for your particular case with Venus in the 12th, because the 12th house, when things get in the 12th house, it gets all confusing than how normally would, because the 12th house is a subconscious domain. And so it's not a physical world domain. So Venus in the 12th house could be more so like having relationships with ghosts instead of having relationships with actual people.
Right.
Having more friendships with spirits and entities and Mama Gaia instead of actually having a relationship with, your boyfriend or something like that. There's a stronger, there's stronger, it's more easier to form relationship bonds with things that aren't existing in the physical world when it comes to Venus in the 12th house. So it's a little bit the 12th house gets really tricky very fast because it can take us outside of the real world and go into this more subconscious, spiritual, multidimensional terrain. And so, with this Pluto being here, that's a big deal here. And we're gonna read a few things here about this Pluto. So first off, we got this Pluto conjunct your Venus, and so Pluto conjunct your Venus began February of 2024, and it's going to last until November of 2027. All right, and the exact dates, right? So Pluto's been exact conjunction to your Venus March 20th last year, June 28th last year, January 15th this year, and is going to make more exact conjunctions September and November of this year, and then after that, it's you know Pluto's not going to return to that 3-degree point again. But his influence is going to be affecting your Venus until 2027. So you will find some drastic alterations of your close personal relationships or perhaps your finances during this period of time. Existing associations will change in some way. Perhaps frustrations that have been building over time will come to a head, or the relationship may suddenly end, at least as it existed before this period of time. New relationships begun under the influence of this transit will likely be quite intense and will seem to have an ultimate purpose in your life. Perhaps of working through some ancient issues which have long been buried in your unconscious. This is a chance for you to get in touch with deep-rooted issues which force themselves into your conscious awareness, perhaps for the very first time. During this transit, your creative abilities, especially in an artistic sense, could also alter. Even your basic values may undergo transformation at this time. If you are involved in the arts, you may go through some crisis in your work or drastically change the medium of your expression, becoming a director rather than an actor, for example. Your creative energy may also be blocked at this time as energy is diverted for exploring psychological issues. Deep-rooted issues that come to the surface also affect your values as well, and there may be changes in what you value or how conscious you are of the importance of different values have in your life and what relative priority you assign them. For this reason, and as part of the process of internal psychological transformation, finances may change during this period of time, either improving or getting worse, depending on other factors. It is important during all these changes to try to focus on what is truly important to you and to realize that you will likely value yourself as a result of the deeper knowledge and experience Pluto brings. And then hold on, there's more because now we have Pluto within a conjunction to your rising sign. And so this Pluto rising sign conjunction, it's 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 happening this year. It's forming this year. But next year, going into next year is when this is going to be at its most intense. So this is what you're going to this is what you're going to begin to be experiencing um, going into March and April and in the summer of this year as Pluto moves closer to that 5 degree point of Aquarius. So this period of time with Pluto transiting your ascendant is highly significant for you. It is a time when many factors in your life could radically alter because Pluto symbolizes the process of decay and change, death and rebirth. Significant life changes are almost certain to result. These changes can be quite difficult since most of us tend to cling to our older and more established ways of being and resist the pressure of the new with all our might. But these changes being forced upon you at this time are inevitable and perhaps necessary for your growth as a human being. Sometimes these life changes will manifest more on an internal level, and sometimes outer events may bring them, such as a death in your immediate family or some other radical alteration of your circumstances. These events unfold over time. Often, too, a strong Pluto transit means confronting parts of yourself that you would rather not face, and you may be tempted to evade this encounter. But running away from the battle will not help, for eventually you must admit the dark unknown and integrate it with your conscious self if you are to move towards wholeness and peace of mind. Now, there's one last thing I want to read into this whole thing here, and that's Pluto transiting your 12th house. Okay, so I was close. January 2011 is when Pluto in your 12th house began. So going all the way back to 2011 and lasting until June 27. Okay, so
Mm,
during this transit, usually lasting 14 or more years, you may feel confined and limited in the physical world, feeling more at home in the world of spirit or perhaps that of unconscious fantasy. You may even have a tendency for compulsive escapism at this time, addiction, drugs, alcoholism, or you may suffer from feelings of uneasiness and doubts regarding your self-worth. There are great personality changes in the making for you, which will only begin to emerge years from now when Pluto crosses your ascendant and begins transiting the first house of your chart. Confusion and identity loss will plague you until an effort is made in shaking off previous self concepts and moving toward a more universal sense of self. This involves nothing less than the subordination of the personal will to a more spiritual outlook based on the needs of others and society at large. Okay, so that Pluto in your 12th house part, that's something that you've been experiencing for the last 14 years, and it's coming to an end. You're so close to that being finished. And so the intense parts of that, I think you've gone through that, as you mentioned, the whole dark night of the soul things, like you've gone through the worst of Pluto shaking things up in your unconscious mind so you can become aware of all of these darker tendencies. You've gone through a lot of that. So you're never going to be brought back into that hellish realm again, and it's coming to a completion. And so now you're at this point of experiencing the gifts that are becoming available after all this work that you've done. And I think you've already hinted at it, is that you're able to see the shadow side of you, and it's not really getting in the way, it's not really doing anything, but you're able to see its existence, and you're coming to this integration and this wholeness of yourself with this Pluto operating in your 12th house. And I
mhm,
think because um, all these planets that are in Aquarius right now, because they had to, cross over Pluto at 3 degrees and simultaneously make a conjunction to your Venus at 3 degrees Aquarius, One of the biggest things that's going to be um, so like just to throw another element in this real quick is right here you can see the transiting south node is in Virgo at 9 degrees. And this little point right here with the little V and the X,
Mm-hmm.
that's called the vertex point, and your vertex point is at 5 degrees Virgo here, and it's in the eighth house. And so the vertex point, this is the soulmate point. So if you know, if you ever wonder if somebody in your life, it could be anybody, if you feel like a particular, soul connection with them, then you want to see if they have any placements in their chart that contact your vertex point. Because because the vertex point will let us know if there's very certain types of soul contracts, soulmates type of things. And so the south node is getting ready to cross over your vertex point here at 5 degrees. This will happen, maybe in a month or so from now, but it's getting close because the nodes move in reverse. So the last time the south node crossed over your vertex point was 18 years ago, okay? And so the reason why I'm pointing this out, especially with your Black Moon Lilith also here in Leo at 16 degrees, later in the summer, Jupiter is going to enter Leo. So
Mm-hmm.
at some point, Jupiter is going to be transiting your seventh house of relationships and partnerships. And the planet that rules the seventh house is Venus, and your Venus is being extremely activated by all planets right now. And so all this to say, I'm pointing out all these things to say that, this year the probabilities of you finding love interests are very high. Partnership or a relationship of some sort, very high. And it could even be through work, through business of some sort. And with Venus crossing over this, because with the transiting south node crossing over this vertex point right here, the south node is past, right? Past karma.
Mm-hmm.
And so this south node transiting here, like what it could do is like move things around in the universe and in the space around you to sort of in a seemingly faded way bring somebody along your path that you feel this deeper soul ancient connection with. Um,
Past life.
past life connection. And it could be somebody that's already in your life, somebody that you've known for a long time, but you never had this realization until now. Doesn't necessarily have to be someone new, but it really could be somebody new. Um, and it's in your, yeah. So this vertex point is in your eighth house. So with this south node, it's like if at some point this year you do come across somebody where you feel this connection with, then it's going to go. It could immediately go very deep into this intense vulnerable level of intimacy because of the eighth house. And eighth house is deep level of intimacy. So then with and also like with Jupiter, moving through your seventh, right? Jupiter is going to magnetize and expand and enhance relationships to form in your life, whether they're, love interests or just, making networking and connections. And then as Jupiter gets closer to this Black Moon Lilith, then we're really talking like, okay, like, I'm really feeling myself and I'm feeling this person and we are going at it. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's something to keep in mind that could happen, and you might not really expect it to happen at all. But you really never know, especially with you being in a new place. And I'm saying, and like, and I really feel like that's a high probability because of this Venus and how many times Venus got hit with that conjunction to Pluto. Mars conjuncted, the Sun conjuncted, Venus conjuncted, Mercury conjuncted, all right here. So there's something here, there's something here that has to do with Venusian themes, okay? And and I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'm trying to inform you of all the different things that could happen. So partnership, money is a big thing too. You could I don't know, you could suddenly be doing really well with money. And I'm thinking more positive, you know, I'm thinking more of a
Mhm.
positive sense, not like I don't see you suffering in like I'm broke, I'm homeless, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, I because Pluto's already been through that 12th for so long. It's been in that 12th house for so long, and all these planets made that conjunction on your Venus, and now they're moving forward. You know, they're moving forward into your first um, into your first here. And so I feel, you know, yeah, I don't know. I think your just everything is going to be different than it's been your whole life. Go ahead.
Can I chime on a couple of things?
Yeah.
I'll chime on the money thing. So coming from a background of like, poverty mindset, um, had no skills with money or anything like that. What I am feeling and witnessing happening is I think it was last year after our last meeting, I dove into just understanding finances more. I've been doing the investing, paying attention, like just getting smart. I know you've posted about similar things. So, what I've witnessed recently is that maybe like testing or experiences. I never really had credit before, so I have credit now. And because of, things going on, I was told to pull the trigger on just like buying prepping stuff, a freezer, a generator, things along those lines. And I'm seeing the old Jenny come up that's like, max out your credit cards and don't worry about it. Where the new one is like, yeah, you know the truth about the system, but things are not in play yet. This is helping you in the long run. So make sure you're not biting off more than you can chew.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're buying a generator, make sure you can have that paid off within whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing that happen. And I'm also, both of the businesses that I have hit six figures last year,
Oh,
both of them
wow.
simultaneously.
Wow, that's awesome.
And right. And so that was a whole level of experience that I have not experienced, but I also can see where I was holding myself back, that I had to clear that stuff in the 12th house that was coming up for it to open up. But I'm also, it's like a testing, are you going to have that poverty mindset? So that's one thing that I'm witnessing on the money standpoint. So you're spot on about that. And then the second thing about the relationship, and this has happened in the past couple of weeks or just the past week with communicating with people about what's happening with our world. And I kind of saw someone in a different light, and I noticed that there was a switch of it was a conversation that I had that triggered me, and it was spot on with my Venus in 12.
Mm.
That, and I'll just give a background story of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is the genetic mutation that they have put us under of I guess different races, like the United States is a melting pot, and there's theories out there that people believe that there's a reason for that because it dumbs down the society. And this individual I was talking about was like, we all need to get back to what our true race is. And that triggered the fuck out of me because at the end of the day, America is a melting pot. I classify as an American. If I pull up my heritage, I have six or seven in there. Am I dumb? Fuck no. If that was an agenda that they put out, then wake up call, that plan failed. Because I think a lot of us in America right now are a mixture of things.
Hmm.
And so that humanitarian level sparked a anger and an emotional wave in me. And it
Hmm.
was because I was defending more of the people as a whole
Hmm.
than just in one individual race. We can see them doing that in all different countries of what their plan is.
Hmm.
But the lab rat container called America, where it's diverse, and we can get into who stole the land historically and whatever. That's a whole different topic. But I noticed that coming up, and I had to ask myself where I was getting triggered by this conversation and what was truly happening. And so when you said that, when you described the Venus in the 12th house and what's happening, especially when it comes to relationships, um, I'm seeing that play out. I'm having that awareness, but I'm also not reacting to the information that's coming up. I'm not allowing, like, if I am getting emotional, that I'm taking a step back because I know not to make decisions in that moment. And also, with the wave of all this information coming up, I don't think anyone knows the full truth or even what the solution is to clean up this shit show yet.
Hmm.
But we're all gravitating towards it, and I think I lean back into no one woke me up. It was a spiritual awakening of the divine creator energy coming from inside out.
Hmm.
And that is what ultimately is going to happen for every individual, whether that's not me. That's between them and God. So that's kind of how I'm approaching the situation. And I think you're really touching on that. So,
I yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. And that makes a lot of sense. And what like it collectively with Pluto being in Aquarius and something we're going to start seeing happen is challenging holes in the previous structure of societal understandings that where new questions, new trends, and new topics want to come into play that are going to really challenge the old narrative. So,
hmm
for example, I recently saw this meme that this young Native American woman or girl, not young Native American girl, she's a student and she lives on a reservation. You know, she goes to the school on the res or not on the res, but she goes to a school and she was saying they were learning something and somebody in class says, "Well, why don't they just give them their land back?" And she looks back and sees this, you know, it's a white blonde-haired girl. And so her whole post is about talking about this whole concept of like let's give the Indians their land back. And she's an Indian girl, you know, she lives on the res and she's like that's stupid, you know, like this whole concept because there's not a single city, state, country, county, any place in the world that has not been won by the victor in a battle of war. So there's no land that officially belongs to anybody anymore because it's all been conquered by somebody else. And that's what happened here. We were at war. And not only that, but the natives here were having territorial battles between each other. So, you know, is one tribe going to give back the land to the other tribe from a war that happened, you know, hundreds of years ago? And so she went on and on. And that's part of what Pluto and Aquarius is going to be doing over the next 20 years is really challenging how we've been structured and taught to view the world and humanity. And it's going to be really hard. And that's the next thing that's trying to evolve and challenge humanity. And you're somebody that's going to be really experiencing a direct awareness of things. And it may and they are and because Pluto's been in your 12th for like 14 years, it's moving forward as Pluto's at that threshold right here with your first house, moving forward. you're going to be able to be speaking things or having a knowing of things that might seem like they're coming out of nowhere, but it's really because you've been processing it in the back of your mind for a really long time. And so, as Pluto, gets crosses forward, like you're definitely gonna be one of those folks that are going to challenge the old societal norm of things. Um, because Pluto, remember, represents death and transformation,
Hmm.
but also revealing what's unconscious. And so humanity, society, we're unconsciously running on these old programs in our society and our humanitarian ideologies that are not real. And so it's time for them to deconstruct,
Yes.
because society is being manipulated by that. We have all these protests where where the youth are out there in masses and they're like nobody's illegal on stolen land, and we have black people that are like reparations, and they're like, they praise Muslims and they praise more Americans because they don't understand, they don't think Muslims ever had slaves, like all these things, and so there's with Pluto and Aquarius, it's going to be changing a lot of that, and so it makes sense that you would be experiencing like an intense connection in those kinds of conversations. Yeah.
Well, even I know you reacted to the post that I made the other day about Russia and
Yeah.
the Tsar, and I love diving deep in history of what they tell us, and it's like I've been connecting all of these post-it notes in my head of different situations, and I literally just woke up, one morning, everything was fine, and I started seeing like all this stuff that was going down last Friday, and I'm like, something inside of me was like, there's a repeat timeline. And so I was able to connect that dot, but where I had not gone further into that storyline was what happened after the Tsar. What happened when Lenin and Stalin stepped in? And that opened up a huge fucking rabbit hole
Mm.
of me connecting the dots of what's playing out here. And that is a whole conversation that's kind of hard to have because of the manipulation that they've done with our history. But like it was boom, boom, boom. Like 3 weeks ago, I was told, woke up, get a generator, get a freezer, stock
Mm.
it, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and all this thing has been rolling out. And just to, some of the topics that are coming out now, you couldn't discuss last week. You would have been
Right.
labeled a certain way, where people are now seeing that, you know, they have manipulated history. That there is some type of agenda going on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. But and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's what's making me lean more into my intuition because I'm like, okay, here is higher guidance talking to me again because I mean, out of nowhere, my sister was like, I triggered my sister to bring up her financial wounds because I was just buying all this stuff. And she's like, why do we need this? And I'm like, I don't know. Something's telling me we just got to get our house in order. So I have it. I'm being blessed. The money's here. We're going to get our house in order.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense that you would kind of experience that impulse, that spontaneous impulse, because look at where Uranus is. Uranus has been transiting through your first house, and Uranus and Pluto, they're very different, but they're both similar in that they can change things suddenly in our lives, and in the world. Pluto changed things by like revealing and destroying, and Uranus changes things by like rapid and sudden random things, But with Uranus transiting, so Uranus and Taurus, this is like possessions, things that you value, resources, generator, food, your home assets. And the fourth house is also home, family, right?
That
And
makes sense.
and you and Uranus and Taurus transiting through your first house, like that could make that. I mean, it's a long transit. It's been there since 2018, but it's coming to an end, right? It's like at this end here. And so this would make sense to why you would feel like those sudden spontaneous actions of what to do to get resourceful, make sure you have your house in order, do things. It's because Uranus is like it's like this higher mind, right? It's like you're feeling this wave before the wave of like I gotta do something, I gotta make things happen. And your natal Chiron is in Taurus, right? And this is sort of a generational thing. So, people who are born with Chiron in Taurus, one of the wounds that they share is a wound of money and sort of poverty and feeling like they don't have enough. And no matter how hard they work and how much that they actually do have, they'll even live with this fear that at any moment it could all be taken, it could all disappear.
Yes.
It's in the fourth house too, so it also is connected to home, right? To home and assets and dealing with this fear that at any moment, I could lose everything and if I lose everything, that it will also mean I won't have a place to live. So with, Uranus was on your Chiron more closer around, 2019, 2020. That's when it was really agitating your Chiron, but it's long away from there now. So, that whole trigger there it's done. You will be initiating a Chiron return going into 2027. So
Mhm.
that's going to be interesting going through that Chiron return because it's going to be after Pluto has spent an entire year on your Venus, right? Which is money. So okay. So all right, wonderful. So we have more layers here. We have a lot more layers here. So I'm gonna go forward. I'm gonna go forward just a little bit here. Okay, so here we are. This is the farthest Pluto's going to reach in Aquarius. We're over here in May, and at this point, Pluto's at 5 degrees. So Pluto's going to stay at 5 degrees Aquarius for a long time because he's slowing down, and then he's going to retrograde. He's going to station there at 5 degrees, and then eventually start slowly moving backwards. So he's going to be at that 5 degree point here for a long time. And so he's also going to be conjunct your
On my
you're
rising.
rising, but in the 12th, not the first. And so it's a huge difference when it's in the 12th versus the
Right.
first. It is a huge, huge difference. And so what's interesting is your natal Chiron at Taurus here at 6 degrees squares your rising sign. And it's within a 3 degree, it squares your Venus within 3 degrees also. So that means this is a whole other layer because before we talked about all those planets that had to conjunct Pluto and also activate your Venus. Well, at the same time, those planets, as they were crossing this point with Pluto, they were also squaring your natal Chiron at the same time, which is so interesting because what planet governs the sign Taurus? Venus.
Yes, right.
And where is your Chiron? In Taurus. Okay.
Yes.
And so we're seeing multiple layers of the same kind of frequency here that has to do with money, your subconscious, your self-esteem, your values, and wounds and triggers and traumas and like past cycles, things of that nature. So, that Venus and Chiron square that you're born with is being triggered by that Pluto. So I'm gonna we're gonna add another thing here to read with this Pluto. So this Pluto is squaring your Chiron, and which is beginning. So yeah, it's beginning this month. This transit of Pluto squaring your Chiron is beginning this month and is going to last until the end of 2029, this square. So you are in for a rough time as structures of your life that had previously supported you come crashing down around your head. And you are forced into transformations far more massive than anything you would have anticipated. There is always pain surrounding changes of this magnitude, and you are well advised to go with the flow at this time. As difficult as that may be, and just let it happen. All your attempts to hold on to a previous reality will only make you crazy. Whereas if you accept the inevitability of change, you can even start to enjoy the process and feel exhilarated by it, like rocking along on a roller coaster, engaged in the swooping scenery. With this transit, you may experience intimations of other worlds beyond this present one. Sexual experiences may provide the gateway into the hidden world of the dark places in the human psyche, yours or another person's. Old wounds that can be inhibiting and crippling until explored and come to terms with are beginning to open themselves up to you. These are sources of the personal demons that we all have locked up inside of us and that are coming into your consciousness as a result of this transit for good or ill effect on your life. Ultimately, it can only be for good, as getting in touch with your shadow side will let these forces breathe and have their communion with the other parts of yourself, rather than remain in the dark to fester when you have integrated these dark ambassadors from the underworld of your own psyche. They can become powerful forces for healing as your outlook changes and you become better able to relate to yourself and others around you as well. Okay, there's a lot of different things I want to say in response to that real quick. So, Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is humanitarian. It's a worldly kind of energy. So Pluto in Aquarius, okay? And Chiron in Taurus. Taurus is resources and finances. So the way I'm interpreting that, like I'm dialing in that what we just read a little bit more specific for you, is not that you're going to experience a lot of like bad things. It's more so like the world is going bananas. The world is going crazy, and you've been paying attention to it. And so now, for example, like the economy crashing, right? The economy crashing and, things that are happening in society that
Hmm.
sort of kind of challenge and bring this sort of go with the flow necessity,
Kind of,
right? And then I
right.
and I think you've already kind of been experiencing those glimpses, like I need to get a generator, I'm gonna buy an extra freezer, and I'm gonna stock that bitch up because they control the weather. Look at what they've done. They froze half the country, you know. Um,
I told my sister this morning, I said, wearing a mask right now does not seem crazy. Like
uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
told her, I'm going to add those face shields that the military uses to the list of things to get because,
Right.
she sent me videos on it, but I have, and even on the financial side of things, like I have been investing in certain cryptos,
Hmm, hmm.
silver, and supplies, because if something does happen,
Yeah,
then I want to make sure at least my house and my family is taken care of.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I don't, because Pluto Chiron transits can be very intense. They can be tr intense and traumatic. But I don't want you to worry about it too bad because because Pluto is in Aquarius. I really do think it's more so that it's the world that's going
Mhm.
crazy and it's how you have to endure it as an individual. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I can see now that I have, my throat chakra's been is open and I'm a lot
Yes.
more active in my stories and stuff,
Hmm.
to where before where I was posting about my business, I was getting crickets, and now I'm stepping in authentic. Like I'm being pushed to, you have all this knowledge, people need help, step into it. And people are responding more. They're sending me messages, and God's already shown me that as long as I step into my purpose and I get out of my own way, then the blessings are going to follow. I'm going to have the tools and the resources that I need to get through whatever, in whatever way, shape, or form that looks like, financially or whatever. Um, yeah, so
Absolutely. I believe that for you as well. And in terms of your throat chakra, your natal Mercury is in Aries. And like by the time we're in May, Neptune is exactly conjunct your natal Mercury with Pallas Athena, right? So this conjunct, and then Saturn is going to cross over your Mercury as well. So your mind, your intellect, your communication, and how you're processing things is definitely going to be going through an activation, and it's an air race, so it's going to be quick. It's going to be quick and impulsive. So even at times, your mind and the words coming out of your mind might be coming through quicker than what your awareness can actually, know. So it's like it's going to be more like channeling, is what I'm saying. It's like, oh shit, like I had no idea where that information just came from, but the words just left my mouth, and now I'm wondering, like, holy shit, like how did my IQ just increase or something? Um, so few other things here I mean, there's a lot going on in this chart this year. I really do think it's going to be an, a good and interesting year here for you. Especially with this square. So by the time we're in May, right? We're in May. I love how we landed on May 5th, and Pluto's here at 5 degrees, and Mercury's here at 5 degrees in Taurus, right?
right.
Your natal Chiron is 6 degrees Taurus. So I really think that, like, going into May, right, as we see this Pluto here and then these planets in Taurus that have to cross over your Chiron, I think as you move through the month of May, it's going to be a good reference as to what the theme of Pluto squaring your Chiron is going to be for the next 3 years. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So any little things that you might see come up or whatever, it's like, okay, so okay, all right, okay, I see the framing of what's happening with this Pluto and this whole Chiron thing. Okay, so it's all right. So I think the month of May is going to be a good month to kind of get a reference and like a window as to, any sort of probabilities of how that transiting Pluto square your Chiron while conjunct your North Node may be operating. And then the other thing too that I wanna mention is with that Pluto squaring your Chiron and how it talked about diving into you know into the sexual nature of things, because Pluto is a sexual energy. It governs the sexual organs, creation, and deep level of intimacy from the eighth house. And you do have things in your eighth house. You have your North Node, Saturn, and transiting South Node is here right now, activating. And then your Black Moon Lilith is in Leo in the seventh house right here. And so at some point also, let's go forward just a little bit. So at some point, Jupiter is going to enter Leo. Okay. We're going into August now, and I want to go forward just a little bit more because I want to. So yeah, look, right as we get into September, Jupiter is making a conjunction to this Black Moon Lilith in Leo here. And then at that point, going into September, look at Pluto has retrograded back to 3 degrees
Three
Aquarius here.
degrees.
Okay,
Right over
right over your
Venus.
Venus there, your natal Venus there at 3 degrees. Okay, and then Uranus is now in Gemini. Neptune is retrograde on your Mercury. Saturn is retrograding here. So and then boom, look at you see Chiron. Chiron is in Taurus at 0 degrees. Chiron will enter Taurus this year, but he's only going to reach 0 degrees and stay at 0 degrees and then retrograde and then go back into Aries. So So yeah, it's not gonna your the official beginning of your Chiron return is gonna be like towards the mid next year. Okay, so reason why I'm kind of like highlighting all these different things, and forgive me if this is awkward or anything, but it's like what I'm feeling is like coming across an individual where another side of you is like it's just gonna be like, you know what, maybe I don't know what it is about this guy, but fuck it. Like I, I'm trying not to be too vulgar with my words, but more like fuck it. Like I'm, aroused, by him. I don't know why, but fuck it, let's do it. And so it could be like not necessarily somebody that you form a really long lasting, healthy relationship with, but more so like dang, there's this guy, he's kind of cool. He's not really the greatest, but I can vibe with him. And you know what? I get so, riled up. He gets so riled up, and all we do is just, we just stay in the bedroom and, and it's heated and I don't know what's coming over me. So it could be like that kind of an energy, So I just want to like I want to
I'll keep you posted on that because in that area, it has just not been really nothing. So,
right. Exactly. Which is why there could be this vessel of a person that can kind of
right.
that can kind of cross your path. And with that Jupiter on the Lilith, it's going to want to open up this deeper primal feminine sexual energy while Pluto has activated your Chiron in a
Mm,
square. So what I'm saying is that there's this recipe that's brewing this year for you to kind of, in a way, in your mind, and let's say this vessel, you might say, well, you know what? I've been so fucking like shut down and like not into it. And then here's somebody right here, and like it's been so long. And so, fuck it, let's do it. And then it's like, oh my God, what did I just let out of the box? Because now she's just ferocious and I can't contain it. And, I just want and
that might be a good thing.
exact. And the reason why it might be a good thing is because, we're human. We're human,
Right.
and there's power. There's power in these sexual versions of ourselves that
Hmm.
society may call taboo, right? Or
Right.
or might want to shame or whatever. But there is a powerful ancient primal force that can come through that, and that could be one of the final recipes that you need to integrate a lot of different pieces. And so the reason my intention in telling you these things is not to say, hey girl, you might find somebody where you can just have a lot of crazy sex and it could be fun. No, I'm telling you just that if you do come across this person, that it might just be a fling. Don't dive your heart all into it. Don't move in with the person. Don't have the person move in with you. They might have not have a job. They might not have all their shit together. Whatever there could just be something about them where they're a little edgy. They're a little primal themselves, but it's not. So it's and the reason. So I'm telling you that so that way you don't end up getting into this sticky and entangled
Right.
situation.
Right.
And so that's my intention in disclosing all of that for you. And it might not
And
even happen. It might not even happen, but I, as your astrologer and seeing all these things, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like this is, the potential for it is there. It's there.
no,
Um,
I appreciate that because I have not like I think it was the past couple of days I got hit on, and it's been a moment that that's happened because I haven't, you know. I'm not interested. I'm not entertaining an idea. I'm not seeking a soulmate like I've, you know. And so when I got hit on, I was like, wow, it's going to take someone to really come in to get my head to swing in that direction. So it's good to have this awareness because if someone does come in and have that, you know, has my head swinging in a certain direction, I can go back to asking those questions if this is what I really want. If it's all fun and games, great,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to take it too seriously,
Mm-mm.
which
Mm-mm.
that could also be another test because I was always, the reason I haven't been in a relationship was because I was in a lot of shadow where I was seeking a man to fix whatever how my life was at the very beginning. So it
Right.
was very narcissistic. They
Mm-hmm.
were very controlling. Um, that when I had my awakening in the relationship that I was in, that was one of the things that shifted. And I've been dating myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I never did that before. I was always someone swings my head and it was like, we were moving in with each other 2 weeks down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So that could also be a testing too,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a lesson that I need to go through. I'll keep you posted on that. Thank you.
Yeah. 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 Do keep me posted. I mean, and that's what Leo's about. Leo's about fun, Leo's about romance and fun. So, there's it's kind of like your inner succubus is like, you've kept me trapped in here for too long, Jennifer. Like, let's go. Kind of, it could be that kind of like taking over type of thing. And so there's so many different recipes. I mean, there's so many different layers in this recipe as to why I'm kind of sensing this.
Hmm.
One, it's because Jupiter is going to enter Leo in your seventh house. And at some point, Jupiter will contact your Black Moon Lilith. The other thing is because you know, Pluto has been in your 12th house for 14 years, and it's spending an entire year working with your Venus, okay?
Hmm.
And Pluto's, an intense sexual, intimate transformation, and Venus is contact, relationships, love, beauty, pleasure. And then it's also squaring that Chiron, and Chiron is like wounds, psychological, mental, emotional, and Pluto wants to reveal and bring things up to the surface. So it's like that enactment of experiencing sexual worlds can also reveal other psychological patternings. And this is all happening this year while Pluto is just gets so close into making an exact conjunction to your rising sign, but never crossing into the first, always staying in the subconscious. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's why I'm pointing all these things out, is
No,
because
it's
like,
great. I'm laughing at myself because the old me would have sacrificed everything for the relationship. You pointed that out earlier,
yes, yes, yes,
where
yes.
where now I'm thinking this could be fun,
And and it really could be. It really, really, really could be. If you had not integrated what Pluto has been trying to, make you aware of over the last 14 years, and you were still lying to yourself and you were still delusional, you've not done any healing, then going through this year, yeah, you could end up going into a horrible relationship situation with just the worst kind of a person, where that person, let's say that person, is also an ex-convict. They spent some time in prison, and you didn't,
Sounds
they
like
were
my exes.
exactly, and they had some hustles on the side that you weren't aware of, and you're at his house, or what, he's at your house, and you didn't know he was a fugitive, and and then all of a sudden your home's getting raided and you're being fucking, pressed as like an accomplice in some type of way, and your life is getting all fucked up and chaotic because you know what I mean. That so like I don't think that that's going to be this kind of a situation, because you've integrated, you're a lot smarter, you're a lot wiser. You know what I, you know what I mean?
Well, you're
Like,
spot on. That's how I got my first charge.
oh wow. Well,
That's
really?
how I got a felony that I cannot get reversed from the state of Texas because the boyfriend that I was dating at the time, they raided his house.
No.
And everyone was partying. I did not know that the house was under surveillance. So when they came in, I got nervous and started cleaning off the table and I dumped a cocaine straw in my purse.
Oh
And
shit.
and they searched everyone, and this was in 98, 1998. They raided the house in August, and in September 1st, they changed the laws and they made controlled substances less than a gram, which was the highest misdemeanor, into the lowest fourth degree felony. And they charged me with possession of a controlled substances. I mean, the straw didn't have enough to numb a tooth in it. You know,
Right.
like there wasn't
Right.
enough cocaine in it. So
Wow.
4 years, get this, 4 years probation.
Wow.
I violated my probation 2 weeks before completing the 4 years with my first DWI and ended up I spent a year in jail. And the year that I was in jail, Texas was so overloaded by that change from a misdemeanor to a felony, they reversed it back. But
Mm.
guess who still has a felony on their record?
Mm.
Me.
Damn.
And
Wow.
to this day, it's still a misdemeanor. So that what you just described would have been the old me, where the new me is
Oh.
like, oh hell no, you got me fucked up. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. See, see, and that's why I said all of that because that's exactly like kind of, what I'm, sensing and seeing here. And so, yeah, with that in mind, if you find, this kind of thing developing this year, um, keep it sober. You know what I
right.
mean?
I
Keep it
am.
keep it sober because part of this whole Pluto in the 12th house for 14 years has to do with escapism and addictions. So if somebody does come across and they're like, "Hey, I got some Molly, we've been doing this, but Molly will take it to another level." Nah, nope. That's when you gotta shut it down and say, sorry, buddy, but this was fun, but I'm just no, because that's just going to open up too many other realms. And 12th house, that's what we're talking. 12th house is when we get into realms, ghosts, spirits, hauntings, demons,
Hmm.
unconscious. You know what I mean? So you want to keep it sober, you want to keep it pure, you want to keep it fun, you want to keep it light, but you also don't want to repress yourself if you feel like that this is going to be okay. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Cool, cool.
I've been
Um,
sober for 8 years, so it would, you know, I'm
Good.
at the point now where I recoil from all of it. I smoke pot, but
Yeah, pot's great. Pot is good. Pot's good. Yeah. Pot might make things weird from time to time, but it's good. It's just pot, you're just high. You're just stoned.
right. But yeah,
So,
no, thank you. Thank you.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
wanted to relay that story because you were spot on with what you were picking up.
Yeah, thank you for relaying that story. Yeah, I love how spot on I was with that example there. Let's see where we are with time. Okay, we got plenty of time left. So let's go back to the present right now. Um, so lot in Aquarius, right? Which I feel like you already understand, the fact that you have a lot of this Aquarius energy in your first house. It's me, my identity, focusing on myself first. You said a lot of that. But in the coming days and in the coming weeks, if I go forward just one week, boom, one week from now, we already got Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, Palestina in Pisces, so very soon all these energies are going to shift into Pisces, okay? And then another week, we go forward another week, boom, the sun is in Pisces and Mars is here at 20 degrees Aquarius. Pluto's finally moved a degree, 4 degrees Aquarius. And now we have a whole Pisces stellium going on here. So when these planets move into Pisces, they're going to be in your second house. and you already have a lot of Pisces planets in your second house. You have Mars in Pisces at 5 degrees. You have Ceres in Pisces, 5 degrees. You have Vesta in Pisces at 10 degrees. And then your Sun in Pisces at 15 degrees. And then your South Node is in Pisces at 17 degrees. Okay, all here in the second house. And here we have the stellium. So, um, what I like about this, not going too fine into the details of like every planet and everything, but the fact that all these planets are moving from the first, I mean, first they were in the 12th, they've gone from the 12th to the
Right.
from the 12th to the first and then into the second. The second, is when things go from the first to the second like that, it's manifestation, okay? Because while everything is in the first, it's all of this thinking, right? It's all of this like initiating and thinking, like I want this, I want to do this, I'm doing this, I've been working on that, I've been building towards this. And then when it goes into the second house, it's happening, then it's manifesting, then it's real. And your second house is ruled by Pisces, which having that second house ruled by Pisces is being able to materialize things almost out of nothing, because Pisces is pretty magical like that. So, one of the things that you may experience, especially also because Saturn is leaving Pisces and Neptune's no longer in Pisces, right? But this Saturn leaving Pisces is going to free up your second house. Okay, so it's going
I can't wait.
it's gonna free things up. So you might experience, a lot of material gains, you might experience a lot of material gains. You might get more assets. Your car might become better, or certain things might feel or level up in your life, or things that you're doing with your business, things that you're trying to expand and reach, can start to materialize in a more tangible form, is what I'm saying here. And um, hold on, I'm gonna go back just a day or two because we have, I think it's the 16th. Yeah. So on the 16th, we have the solar eclipse in Aquarius. Okay.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so the moon, which is going to be at 28 degrees here with the moon conjunct the sun, and that's going to be a solar eclipse, and it's also the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year,
yeah.
which is going to initiate the year of the fire horse. And this solar eclipse, taking place in your first house, so new moons, right? First off, it's a new moon, but it's a new moon that's also a solar eclipse. So, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, it just means new moon or full moon, but the energy of what it entails is amplified at a very extreme level. And so new moons, of course, they're good times to set intentions, right? To set intentions, to start something new, and to initiate. And what's powerful about this solar eclipse is that it's going to be squared by Uranus. And Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So the ruling planet of this solar eclipse, Uranus, is going to be squaring it at a 90-degree angle here. And that's impacting your first house and your fourth house here.
Mm.
Um, so the solar eclipse, hold on, it's annoying me that I don't have the moon exactly on the sun. So let me just do that so my mind's not so split. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Okay, we're almost there. All right, just make it go faster. Okay, that's close enough. That's better. Um, Okay, so yeah, this is where the solar eclipse is going to be, and Uranus here. So, because you are on Aquarius rising, and because Pluto is working so close to you right now with your Venus in Aquarius, your rising Aquarius, and it's we've talked about where it is right now, where it's going to be all year, and this solar eclipse, this solar eclipse that's going to happen on the 17th here, I think it's a really good one to um like I mean it's gonna sound like very like generic cliche obvious, but to like set an intention of the future, of where you want to see yourself into the future. And the thing about eclipses is that they're portals that kind of set the tone for the next 6 months.
Right.
Um, and
It's ritual day.
it's yeah, definitely ritual day. And with Uranus in Taurus here squaring the this eclipse, you know, ritual day. So I like this concept because Taurus is at home. I mean, Uranus is at home. So, being at home, and Taurus is the body, getting into the body, activating the body, getting weird, maybe even a little mushroom microdose or
Perfect. I've
yeah.
been meaning, I haven't done it since, I've done it once since the move. So it's almost been
Mm.
a year and I was feeling called to just kind of, do a little. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
that's
think just a little, just enough to increase the level of awareness and what you can feel moving through your body,
right.
just a little bit. And so with Uranus and Taurus, I think the key thing, and something that I've been saying a lot too, is like of what Uranus and Taurus has been doing is helping us understand the spiritual technology our body is capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel with this eclipse here, is that this could really help you unlock
Mm,
some things, some skills, some tools, some power, some ability that you're able to channel through your body, and it may even be, it could be like some kind of weird dance. It could be some hand motions of some sort. Um, but it's interesting because like aliens is the word that's coming to my mind, like contact, having contact, experiencing contact. So um yeah, so it's like okay, now okay, so um and I normally wouldn't say this to anybody else, but I like, so go for you specifically, go into this solar eclipse as if you were entering, your Kachina dance ritual, you know.
I was
Um,
just thinking, put on my headdress.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
said Kachina,
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, it's connecting back to the ancient technology of being able to travel through the body in ceremony when dance, and move through the portals and move through the stars. So that I think that's something that will be very interesting for you to
mm,
start for yourself. Because and the reason why, so I normally wouldn't say that specific, I wouldn't say that specific thing to just anybody, collectively, yeah, because the solar eclipse and the Uranus, that's something collectively, but the whole Kachina part, I wouldn't say
hmm
that. Um, and the reason why I feel this is important for you, because you're Aquarius rising, is that this solar eclipse is happening at the very end of Aquarius, okay?
right,
And so it's going to take 20 years. Well, now about 18 years for this Pluto to reach the point of where this eclipse was. So this is a seed point, right? This is a seed point.
right.
So every time as the years progress and Pluto moves further and further and further through all these degrees, you're going to integrate and enhance what that experience is for you in the solar eclipse, right? So it's going to be then, it's now you started this solar eclipse, And at the same time, you've initiated a journey to like really um, remember and integrate this ancient connection you have with the Kachina spirits and your star family. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so the level of contact and the level of knowing you're going to have, it will gradually increase over time, over the years, as Pluto progresses through, these Aquarian degrees. And that's really important for you as an Aquarius rising because you're meant to embody it. You're meant to embody that new energy as part of your identity. Something that I've told a lot of Aquarius risings is that this is when they might really start to see that whole concept of being an ambassador start to come into play.
Yes,
Um,
yes. And real quick, I
mhm.
feel like that is why this morning I had that realization of mentally what was going on, because it was like I could see that expansion where we know when we have that in our mental space, it kind of feels that moment like, am I going crazy? Am I not going crazy? It's expanding because there's about to be a massive download for me to
Yeah,
hold a body in.
yep, yep. And so the body needs to be strong right now. The body definitely needs to be strong right now. So I don't know what your diet is. I don't know if you restrict it or whatever, but like, bone broth, strong things that make you strong, mineral food, like strengthen it. Strengthen it, charge it, breathe, get your chi ready. Because yeah, a lot of higher downloads want to come in through you, and you don't want to fry yourself up.
Yeah.
Um, no doubt, no doubt. And with the Pisces, with the Pisces element here, I love that you have all the Pisces energy as well as this because that Pisces energy is really going to help you ride those waves and have a true experience. Because
Yeah.
Pisces is a sign that is about having a supernatural experience. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Pisces is having a religious or a spiritual experience that opens us up to the understanding of Christ consciousness and oneness and unity. But also, it's also having the experience of the nightmare.
Hmm.
The Pisces is very dualistic, and you've already gone through the nightmare. Um, and so with your Mars, something is, is telling me that this Vesta point that you have is really important. So, this mine, oh, hold on, wrong thing. So you have this minor asteroid here in Vesta at 10 degrees. And it's opposite your Saturn in Virgo here. And Vesta, I actually pulled out this book here. It's called The Asteroid Goddesses. And I mean, there's several pages about Vesta, but Vesta is a minor asteroid. It's a goddess energy of the heart flame. And so, let me just read to you a few things about this because I feel like the spirit and the energy of this Vesta is important for you to start introducing yourself to. So you want to start connecting to this archetype of the Vesta flame, because so the Vestas, they keep things the pure of heart, and it's this Vesta flame energy, and I think that this is like the higher. I think this Vesta energy is like the higher version of what your Venus is in your chart and why Pluto is spending so much time on your Venus
Mm.
is because it's pushing you to evolve more so into this Vesta embodiment. But you had to learn what the Vesta embodiment is through going through the transformations of your subconscious and Pluto having to be there. And because Saturn is exactly opposite your Vesta, so this is one of your most important lessons that you're here to learn And with Saturn in the eighth house, you are an authority of occult hidden realms, and that's part of your destiny with the North Node and Virgo is to analyze and know detailed facts and information about the hidden realms. So I think this Vesta is like a huge part of your soul origin, kind of like a star seed sense, like, oh, I came from the Vestas type of thing. And your sun is
Yes.
also so close to it also. And this asteroid Ceres is close to it as well. So I'm going to read to you really quick, and I will have to go shortly after one, but here we go. So Vesta, the eternal flame. And third, the things that Aphrodite does are not pleasing to that venerable virgin Vestia, whom Kronos, in his craftiness, first gave birth to, and also last, thanks to Zeus, who carries the Aegis, the lady that Poseidon and Apollo were both after. She didn't want them. She refused them firmly. And she swore a great oath on it, one that was fulfilled, touching the head of Father Zeus, who carries the Aegis, that she would be a virgin every day, a divine goddess. And Father Zeus gave her a wedding gift. He, as her sit, he has her sit in the center of the house to receive the best in offerings. In all temples of the gods, she is honored, and among all mortals, she is a venerated goddess. Vesta, known to the ancient Greeks as Vestia, is symbolized by the Virgin who appears in the Virgo pictograph. It's interesting, Virgo pictograph, and your North Node is Virgo, and your South
Right?
and your Saturn is in Virgo, and your vertex is in Virgo. The Romans worshipped her as a goddess of hearth and keeper of the sacred flame. Her name is derived from the Sanskrit root vas, meaning shining. While not the largest of the asteroids, Vesta is the brightest and the only one that can be seen with the naked eye. This is due to the fact that Vesta is composed of an unusual type of volcanic surface rock caused by extremely high internal temperatures that reflects a remarkable amount of sunlight. Thus, Vesta's association with the element of fire aptly corresponds to her luminous astronomical qualities. As goddess of the hearth fire, Vesta had a shrine placed at the center of every household and at the center public hearth of every city. She became the symbol of the guardian of the home, which is where your Chiron is, and
Right?
and community, thereby ensuring the cohesion of family and state. Your Venus squares your Chiron, your rising sign in Aquarius squares your Chiron. This is so interesting. Um, Vesta's priestesses of Rome were known as the Vestal Virgins. Sworn to celibacy, their duty was to tend the sacred flame. Because few artistic representations or legends concerning Vesta exist, she is the most difficult to understand of all goddesses, of course. Consequently, Vesta is dismissed by many mythological writers as bland, dull, and unworthy of serious study. Yet, Vesta's meaning and significance are available to us if we pay close attention to her story. A tale that will carry us through Greece, Rome, and the pre Hellenic civilizations. In Greek mythology, Vesta was the first Olympian to be born to Kronos, Saturn, which your Saturn is opposite
Right?
Vesta. This is crazy. What the fuck?
Welcome to Pisces energy.
For reals. And Rhea, the last to be reborn when Zeus, Jupiter, freed his siblings from Saturn's stomach. Subsequently, Vesta chose to remain a virgin, refusing to marry either Apollo or Poseidon. Hestia immigrated to Greece from Mycenaean Crete at a very early period. Although there existed no images of her at that time, she was worshipped in all Greek towns where an altar to Hestia was placed at the Prethanium, the public hearth which contained the sacred fire. This fire symbolized the unity and cohesion of the family and state. Thus, when immigrating to foreign lands, Greek colonists brought a portion of the fire with them in order to link their new community with their homeland. Likewise, women leaving home brought fire from their mothers' hearths in order to begin their own. Because she was the first of the Olympians, the Greeks initiated a tradition that ceremonies and new enterprises would begin with an offering to the altar of Hestia. In addition, she received the best parts of the sacrifices offered at the temples of other gods. With every burnt offering, her presence was acknowledged as the goddess of the sacred hearth and altar flame. Hestia embodied the meaning of honest and faithful dealings. Hence, her name was used to seal oaths and social contracts. Hestia also governed the sacred law of hospitality with her offerings of the warmth of the hearth, fire, food, and shelter to strangers. Her hearth therefore became known as a sanctuary of protection. Following the Greeks, the Romans absorbed Hestia and renamed her Vesta. In tribute to her, Numa Pompilius, the sacred king of Rome, built a temple designed to ensure the safety of Roman Empire, whose center contained Vesta's eternal fire. The sacred responsibility of tending the flames was given to the priestesses of the goddess Vesta, the Vestal virgins, first two, then four, then six in number. These divine servants were chosen from the loveliest and noblest of all Roman maidens. Admitted into the temple at the age of 6, they took vows of chastity and celibacy, which lasted for the duration of their 30-year service. Aside from tending the sacred flame, their duties included purifying the shrine with holy water each morning, performing daily devotions and offerings, and guarding sacred relics. Upon completing their term, the priestesses were granted the liberty to leave and marry. Apparently, few did. And it goes on and on and on and on. There's so many pages about Vesta.
What book is that? Can
Um,
you send that to me
I
when
will.
you?
Yeah, I would definitely send it to you. I'll send you the book title and everything. So the reason why I'm like, okay, there's something about this Vesta here, and it's so deeply profound. Like I think we're really touching on something here that is just like how you were saying, so mind-blowing that it's overwhelming. And we're so close to it because of that Pluto being in your 12th house at the very end of your subconscious, getting ready to enter your conscious domain of your first house. And the reason why I'm looking at this Vesta is because currently the south node is at 9 degrees. Okay. So it already crossed over this Vesta. But this month of February, um, Mercury is going to go retrograde. So at the end of February, Mercury is going to retrograde. Okay. So Mercury is going to cross over, Mercury will cross over um, the north node at 9 degrees. Okay. So here's Mercury at 8
Right.
degrees Pisces. We're at February 11th. And so Mercury is going to cross over that north node at 9 degrees, which is within a conjunction to your Vesta point. And then as we go forward, okay, we're in March. Mercury is retrograding. So Mercury will retrograde almost at the very end of Pisces and will go back, right? And so Mercury is going to cross over your Vesta point 3 times this year. And it's going to do it while the North Node is within a conjunction to your Vesta. And the North Node governs fate, destiny, the future, the unknown, and your natal south node is Pisces. So you are going through a reverse nodal return. So I think there are some deep, profound karmic things that are trying to awaken a new sense of identity with all the Aquarian energy and that solar eclipse having an Aquarian energy and this new sense of identity that unlocks this greater knowing of your subconscious and ties you back into relating this embodied sense of who you are on a soul level. So if you can imagine that you were a virgin Vesta, you know, and like what that means, having that awareness and viscerally being able to experience and integrate that into your body, that will cause a total transformation of yourself. And
Mhm.
so I think this is so crazy that this is opening up here, especially because Saturn over the last 3 years was in Pisces. So Saturn did cross over all this Pisces energy and at some point did oppose your natal Pisces. And so here we are now. So anyways, I gotta definitely end it now. But dude, this is crazy.
We may have to do a part two, but I will stay in tune with you because I'm fascinated to dive more into this because just you touching on that brought awareness. But we'll
Yeah.
regroup.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Me howdy. What's up, y'all? Year of the Fire Horse is soon to arrive, marking the start of the Lunar New Year, also known as the Chinese New Year. This Lunar New Year will also coincide with the Aquarius solar eclipse. 2026 is sure to be a year of powerful momentum, moving forward in the coming changes of our lives. I am offering a discount service for the month of February. Use coupon code FIREHORSE at sleepingshaman.com. Happy Chinese New Year, y'all. Ni howdy.